Sometimes a question will ask you to work backwards and find the original price of something after the price has been increased. For example, in this question, a sofa is reduced in a sale by 20% to $400. What was its original price? Now, before we start solving it, and I'll use two methods to solve this question, let's try and understand the question first of all. So a sofa is reduced in a sale by 20% to $400. Now we know that if you reduce a percentage by 20%, the new price will represent 80% of the original price. So the first thing that we have to do is to find the multiplier. So basically here, the multiplier will be 100% minus 20%, which is equal to 80%. What does this mean? It means that the new price represents 80% of the original price. So the new price represents 80% of the original price. Okay, so we understand what's happening here. Now we need to find a way of solving this problem. Method one, you can use what we call unitary method. So method one, we shall use the unitary method. Now this is how the unitary method works. We know that 80% of the value of this sofa is $400. So we know that 80% is $400. Now we can try and find what 1% is. And basically to find 1% from 80, you divide by 80. So you divide by 80 here. And you're going to do the same thing on the right hand side. You divide by 80. Okay? And 400 divided by 80 will be $5. So 1% is equals to $5. But what we want is the original price. And the original price here is 100%. So we want 100%. So how do you find 100 from 1? You just multiply by 100. So that's exactly what you're going to do on the right hand side. We multiply by 100. And 5 multiplied by 100 will be 500. So what this means is that the original price of the sofa was $500. So original price of this sofa was $500. So that is method one. We call it unitary method. Method two is using a multiplier. So method two is using a multiplier. Now we know that to find 20%, a 20% decrease, we multiply by 80% or 0.8. In fact, that's what our multiplier is. But I'll just write this statement here because it will help us to know how to use a multiplier to find the original price. So we know that to find a 20% decrease, we multiply by 80% or 0.8. So, and this is basically what has happened here, okay? Because in the question, a sofa is reduced by 20% to 400. So already, the original price has been multiplied by the multiplier, which is 0.8. So we can represent this using a diagram. So we have the price before the discount, let's assume it's here, and then we have the price after the discount, which is here. Now, for us to get the price after the discount, we have to multiply by the multiplier, okay, which is 0.8. So we multiply by 0.8, which means if you want to find the price, the original price after the discount, so the opposite of multiplying by 0.8 is dividing by the multiplier, which is 0.8. The opposite of multiplying by 0.8 is dividing by 0.8, which means that the original price will be equal to 400 divided by 0.8. Okay? Remember, this is $400. Okay? So to get the original price, which you don't know, will be equal to, so the original price of the sofa will be equal to 400 divided by 0.8, and that will be equal to $500. So that's the second method, okay? And you can choose whichever method that you're comfortable with, because both methods result into the same answer. Okay, let's look at the second example. A clock sells for $65 after a 30% increase. What was the original price? So maybe what you may want to do is to find what the multiplier is. So that is 30% increase. So the multiplier will be equal to 100% plus 30%, which is equal to 130%. And that's equivalent to 1.3. So basically, the original price will be of the clock, if we know what the multiplier is. And now I'm going to use method 2, by the way, from the previous example. So basically, the original price of the clock will be equal to $65 divided by the multiplier. Remember, we are performing the inverse operation, so divide by the multiplier, and what you'll get is $50.